Hello friends, Sarah Sunstone here, and welcome back to Wish I Knew. Today's episode is very kindly sponsored by Dreamhaven with Lynked Banner of the Spark, a colorful action RPG which is available now on Steam, Xbox Series X and S, and PlayStation 5. Battle enemies solo or in co-op with up to 3 friends, then return home and use their parts to craft a thriving town. To get you started on your action-packed adventure, I've prepared some useful tips and tricks. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. Now, I don't know about you, but whenever I get to create my own character in games, I am equal parts excited about all of the options and nervous about the possibility of getting locked into my selections. Luckily with Lynked, every aspect of your character can be changed after their initial creation, so there is no need to stress. To adjust your appearance, voice, fit, and more, simply interact with an in-game mirror. The first one you'll have access to is found in Buddy's house, and later on, once you rescue Taylor the stylist, a second mirror can be accessed at her shop. Through completing quests with this specific bot, you'll also be able to acquire your very own mirror that can be placed anywhere in your town for ultimate convenience. You can also unlock tons of additional clothing, accessories, wire customizations, and more throughout gameplay, alongside a unique dyeing system to further customize the colors of various items. So if at first you don't see something you're totally in love with, worry not, because there will be tons more options available for you to express yourself with. Next, let's talk resource gathering, because this is going to be very important for progressing your gameplay. Lynked simplifies the collection process by using 2 tools only, your multi-tool and your Wyre. Your multi-tool can be used to dig up piles of trash, chop wood from trees, and collect materials from mining nodes. And keep your eyes peeled for buried blueprints that can be dug up with your multi-tool to unlock new crafting recipes. The other tool you're equipped with is your Wyre. This can be used to shake trees, and also to catch biddybots and gillybots, the world's bug and fish equivalents. Both your multi-tool and Wyre can also be upgraded, but more on this later. You will need some of everything in Lynked to progress your gameplay and unlock new features. For example, as you collect biddybots, you'll unlock different seed types to start your own garden. And these biddybots can be found, for example, hiding in trees or among the crystals. So everything is very interconnected, with one activity leading to the next. Other resources will be required for crafting, completing quests, and more, so enjoy the process of collecting and stock up without the worry of overloading your inventory, which is unlimited. Now, in order to unlock all sorts of new gameplay features, you will need to rescue colorful bots from combat runs. Once you successfully do so, you will be able to level up your friendship with each of them individually and complete a series of unique quests that will reward you new perks, features, items, and more related to each bot's area of expertise. Here is a brief rundown of all of the bots you can unlock in the early to mid-game, just to give you an idea of who to talk to or look for in specific if you're extra interested in any particular features. Smithy is the weaponsmith who will help you unlock and forge new weapons for combat runs. Chip is the tinkerer who will encourage you to rescue other bots and will help you upgrade your Wyre. Nickel is the shopkeeper who owns the general store where you can purchase furniture, decor, and supplies. She will also purchase goods from you so you can earn bits. Taylor is the stylist who will offer you new clothes, accessories, and more for character customization. Ivy is the researcher who will introduce you to gardening, dyes, and more as you collect biddybots and gillybots. Mason is the builder who will help you craft furniture, pathing, a home to call your own, and more. And Chef Brat is the cook who will introduce you to battle companions, which we'll talk more about later, and of course, cooking features. As I previously said, everything in the game is very well interconnected, so many of these systems interact with each other. I recommend talking to all the different bots around town once you've rescued them, and work towards completing each of their quest lines to activate new gameplay mechanics. It's honestly a very rewarding system. And speaking of rewarding, Lynked has a few different types of in-game currencies, so let's briefly go over them to understand what they're used for and how you'll primarily earn them. First, we have bits, which are somewhat of a gold equivalent because you will need bits to exchange for essentially everything. You can earn bits from selling items at Nickel's shop. I personally sell extra biddybots and gillybots that I collect because some of them are worth a pretty penny, but I've also been saving one of each for my own collection. You can also easily collect coconuts from the beach and figs from around the island just by shaking trees. When you're first starting out, this is a great way to earn bits because they sell for 100 bits a piece. Just make sure you also keep some on hand before selling extras. You can also earn bits converted from scrap collected during combat runs and awarded for completing a combat run in its entirety. And I'll dive deeper into this system a little later. The next primary currency is called friendships, and these are used to upgrade your Wyre. You'll earn these when you level up your friendship with the bots around town. And finally, we have soul sparks, which are used to unlock new abilities and perks for your gameplay. They are dropped from combats on missions and also awarded when completing quests and combat runs in their entirety. These can be exchanged at the Sparkhold, which we'll cover next. The Sparkhold is a very important building to visit in your town, because here you will exchange soul sparks for all kinds of useful, fun, and exciting perks, and not just for combat. There's actually an entire category of perks that will provide you with benefits for your gameplay in town. This includes stronger, faster tools, rare resource extraction, and even fun features great for multiplayer, like new emotes for your character. The other two available categories of perks are related to combat. There are active perks, like special powers for healing, shielding, performing supers, and more, but also passive perks, like increasing your maximum health, unlocking the ability to perform extra consecutive dodge rolls, and more. Take your time browsing through the options and be sure to pick the perks that will best benefit your own personal playstyle. If you're newer to games with combat, I would recommend increasing your maximum health and unlocking and upgrading the healing power early on to give you an upper hand with encounters, as tempting as it is to exchange all of your soul sparks for emotes right away. I may or may not have done that myself. It's also worth noting that you can refund your soul sparks to reset your selections and reallocate your picks. Now, as I previously mentioned, your unique Wyre tool can be used both in and outside of combat, so get comfortable and creative when using it. In the town, you'll primarily use it to shake trees, to catch those biddy and gilly bots, which are essential for completing collections and furthering your research with Ivy. And there are even fun, playful uses for your Wyre, like picking up other friendly bots and having snowball fights with your friends. However, your Wyre can also be an excellent tool to give you an edge in battle. For the longest time, I kept forgetting that I could use this alongside my equipped weapon, and it can be super helpful, especially with the different upgrades that are available in exchange for friendships. You can pick up and throw enemies, perform powerful botalities, and unlock special skills to deal additional damage. You'll unlock more upgrades as you progress, so be sure to check back regularly. I highly recommend the Wrecking Ball perk, where the enemy you pick up will deal damage to and knock back other enemies in their path as you pull them towards you. This is really helpful to give you some extra space and damage multiple enemies when you're being ambushed. I also recommend the Lootality and Healtality perks, which will award you with extra scrap and a chance for health drops when performing those botalities. You can perform these whenever an enemy is sparking by pressing R2 twice, which activates your Wyre. And with this system as well, you are able to refund your selections and reallocate your friendships if you change your mind. Now, for those of you who are maybe newer to combat, but really want to get into it, I have some excellent news for you, because there are many ways to make the experience more approachable and just easier. Now, I've already mentioned some perks that you might find helpful from the Sparkhold and for your Wyre upgrades, but there are some even more helpful tools at your disposal. First, there are all new game modes available in Lynked to adjust the difficulty of combat specifically. These are found under gameplay settings and will by default be set to standard. This offers a balanced challenge in combat missions and is the setting that I personally play the game on. However, you can now change this to story mode, which offers a more relaxed difficulty setting, making you more resilient to damage during combat missions, or even cozy mode, a very relaxed difficulty setting for the game, which makes you extremely resilient to damage during those combat missions. If you have little experience with combat systems, consider setting it to cozy mode, at least for starters. Then, once you get the hang of the mechanics and familiarize yourself with the system, you can choose to adjust the difficulty to provide more of a challenge if you feel ready, or just keep it as is. I wanted to show the difference, so you can see here that I have it set to cozy mode, and the damage dealt to my character is halved compared with that default difficulty. In this run, I actually barely tried to fight back at all, and by the end of the stage, I completely replenished my health using my perks from looting, and thanks to the help of my battle companion. Battle companions can be unlocked by working with Chef Brat, and you can actually pick from any available Unibot at the beginning of your combat run. You can choose up to 2 Unibots when playing solo, or 1 when adventuring with friends. They will each have unique stats and abilities to offer, so if you're newer to combat, I would recommend bringing in a battle companion who has healing abilities, because they will heal you when needed. You can also level up these bots by completing favors for them and offering them delicious foods so they can be even stronger and more helpful. Now, one of the game's main systems is to use all the loot you've collected on your combat runs to help craft a thriving town. Much of this will be collected directly from defeating the combots, but there were also many different types of chests to loot in each stage as well. Here's a brief overview of the different types of chests you can find and how to maximize the loot you collect on your runs. First, there are weapon chests, which will give you a random weapon. You can choose to swap out the weapon you currently have equipped for this new one, but if you like the weapon you already have, then you can either scrap the one you've looted or take its core, which will be added to your equipped weapon as a mod and can be upgraded along the run. There are also resource chests, which will offer shield boosts, cooldowns on your specials, and even health. Scrap chests can be opened for a bunch of free scrap, but watch out for mimic chests, which must be chased after and defeated to get all the scrap they carry. There are also many chests that can only be opened in exchange for scrap that you've collected during that run. It's up to you if you want to open them or not, and really depends on your current status in battle. I usually leave them behind unless I really need health or shield, but these chests can be the difference between victory or defeat, depending on how your run is going. Otherwise, I personally save my scrap so it can be converted to bits once I've completed the run. Now back to the peaceful life. When you're in town, there are a few really useful quality of life controls that are worth familiarizing yourself with. First, you can adjust your sprinting style to either hold or toggle through the gameplay settings. I personally prefer toggle, so I can just press the sprint button once rather than holding it down constantly, which is more comfortable for me as I wander around town. Next, you can actually zoom in and out at your leisure simply by using the right joystick on your controller. This can help you get a closer look at resources, fishing spots, and more, or a wider look at your surroundings. If you'd really like a bird's eye view, you can enter map mode by pressing R3. This will allow you to freely explore your town map from a higher perspective. I find this especially useful for finding where exactly specific bots are located when I'm turning in quests, but also for making decisions for my town layout. And on that note, you can enter the build mode from anywhere on your piece of land, and from here you can freely customize to create the town of your dreams. You can decorate with purchased or crafted items pulled directly from your inventory, and can even place these items on angles. I would like to report that items can also be properly centered, and you can stack certain items on top of others. The houses and buildings you'll add to your town as you welcome new bots can be moved around anywhere, at any time, instantly. You don't need to wait a certain amount of time to relocate the building, and there is no fee for the move. So don't panic about picking the perfect location for each building on your first try. You can move them around to your heart's content until you're happy. When picking out locations for these buildings, you should be aware that you will unlock mini stations for each by completing quests for the related bot. These stations will allow you to access their services from a secondary location, meaning you could place the mini stations in the most convenient location for you, like right outside your house or near the entrance to combat runs, for example, while placing the buildings where you'd like them to be for aesthetic purposes. It's also great to know that you can freely move the trees around to your liking, along with the decorative ferns, so you can landscape without having to chop down and replant new trees. Finally, when placing fencing and pathing, a little trick is to press and hold the place button to seamlessly lay down a row of pathing or fencing without having to place each tile individually. This also applies to picking it up. Simply press and hold the stash button to easily reverse the process. Well, there you have it, friends. Those were some thoughtfully crafted tips and tricks to get you started on your new adventure with Lynked Banner of the Spark, which, as a reminder, is out now on Steam, Xbox Series X and S, and PlayStation 5. Let me know down in the comments which tip you found the most helpful, and also your favorite thing about Lynked Banner of the Spark. Thank you again so much to our friends at Dreamhaven for taking care of creators like me and sponsoring today's video. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. I love you all, and until next time, take care.